If you wanna give all your bands up, not me, I'ma get me a land truck. 720, my minimum credit score. If you know what I know, you can better yours. Financial literacy. Financial literacy. Financial literacy. Financial literacy.
Credit? I ain't spending no debit. Wow, that's stupid. Rather get paid if I use it. Financial literacy, my only hope. Ain't living rich and dying broke. So
Welcome. Thank you again for tapping into another episode of For Our Culture. For Our Culture is the only financial literacy podcast that's out here severing these generational curses. We have the pleasure of interviewing this young queen right here. Her name is Shalena Diva. Miss Shalena, can you tell us a little bit, about yourself? Who are you?
Okay, well, thank you so much. I am so excited and proud to be on the For the Culture podcast with Tommy and Noel. These guys are really amazing. And it's just so amazing how we all kind of bumped into each other. And I guess we can tell that story a little bit later, but it's just amazing how God helps you to cross paths with people for a reason at a certain time, and then how he'll bring you back again. But and we'll get into that a little later, I'm sure. Yep. I am Shalena Diva, the purpose-driven diva. The Diva stands for discover, invest, value, and appreciate your life and business. So that's what I help women coaches to do. So predominantly online women coaches who really want to take what they know, the knowledge that they have from whether it's a professional degree, life experiences, the skill sets they've gained from being in corporate America, or just the passion that they have. If they want to teach people what they know, I show them how to take what's in your brain, turn your brain into an ATM so you can start creating courses and digital products to, help people, and so that is what I do. And the name of my company is called Best Selling Year. And just very quickly, I got involved in social media actually maybe over 12 years ago. Yeah, over 12 years ago. When I was pregnant with my first son, my friends were telling me about this platform called Facebook. Before I was on like Friendster, messing around a little bit on MySpace, but they were talking about this thing called Facebook. And it was like, oh, it's for the college kids. And I'm like, okay. So, Facebook started out predominantly for college kids. And so I said, let me hop in here, whatever. And I fell in love with the platform. So by 2010, I created ShalenaDiva.com, which was my women's empowerment blog. It debuted on May 1st. That is my birthday. And so I was platform building and didn't know that that's what it was, or that was a valuable skill. So I had a Facebook page, and I was encouraging and asking women to write pieces for my blog because I knew I couldn't do it myself. So women were sharing some really powerful pieces, whether it was like financial literacy even back then, or if it was like sharing different personal triumphs and stories, and it was just so empowering. So I started building a following. So my blog was blown up, and I was building a following, and it just continued. Then I started getting into teaching women empowerment courses online before it was a big thing, like trying to put the pieces. This was back in 2011, so that's where my passion for being online really started. And that's why some people, when they become friends with me online, they're like, how do all these women follow you? What's up with they've been following me for years?
Right.
The long and short end of it. But in addition to empowering them like personally, I also help them with their online businesses.
Nice. Appreciate that, Queen. So Noel, go ahead. What you got for the Queen right here? What you want to know?
Well, let me say this: by your spiel alone, you knocked out like the whole bunch of the questions. So now,
absolutely.
Question for you: what made you choose this industry?
Well, that's the story, y'all. So one is I had a passion for it and a love for it, and I didn't know that it was a valuable skill. And I find a lot of women are in that space. They know a skill set. They're very knowledgeable about something. People always come to them asking them, well, how do you do this or how do you do that? And women, most women, their nature, I don't want to generalize, but most women's nature is very giving. So we're like, okay, girl, you need to get a grant. Let me show you. This is what you need to have in there. Oh, girl, you want to start daycare. This is what you need to do. Oh, you want to have a best-selling book. This is what we're so used to giving. And then we sit back and we're like, wait, I'm constantly giving. And
I might as well jump right into it.
Right. But no, before you get there, you start to see people are taking the knowledge that you've given them and they're going out and getting $1 million grants. They're going out and they're getting clients and customers, and you have nothing at the end. And you hope they come back and say thank you. You hope they're going to take you out to dinner, but a lot of women find themselves burned out.
Yeah.
And then they begin to see other people online who are not as smart, who they really don't care as much, seeing them really blowing up, and it's like, wait, you mean to tell me I can get paid for this? Wait a minute, that's where like a lot of women find themselves, because that's where I found myself. Like, I had this skill set, but I didn't know it was a skill set. That's the problem. We just take our gifts and talents for granted, and we become too complacent. We become too common. We become too what's the word I'm trying to find? We just become too casual with our greatness. We become too casual with your skill sets. And sometimes, like I said, you might not know, hey, sis, that's very valuable.
Yeah,
or if it is, you sell yourself short. So I found myself in that position where I'm building a following. People are asking me, how are you doing this? How you doing that? Like, I was blowing up on YouTube. And I'm like, well, it's simple. First of all, it's not simple. What comes easily to you, right, may not come easily to other people. So at the time around 2012, when things were really starting, this is think 2012, y'all. This is 10, 11 years ago.
Right, before
this all when Facebook was in its
infancy and coaches and all
of that stuff.
Yeah,
right. I was talking like, well, you gotta put some respect on my name. Let me drop something, right? Well, I found myself in a place. I found myself in a place where I was actually homeless, y'all. Yes, I was in a 6-year relationship with y'all know my son Casey, with his dad, and we were in a relationship for 6 years, and we had become engaged, and my life was wrapped up into his life. Like, I helped him run. He has several businesses, so I helped him to run some of the family businesses. And in any relationship, people grow apart. What you thought once was, it wasn't. But things change and feelings change. And at the end of the 6 years, I was just like, wow, like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought we were going to get married. We never got married. Every year, the goalpost was moved back. Oh, you don't do this. Oh, we never, you know what I'm saying? And so it got to a point where I was just like, I really want to live my dreams. I really want to go for it. And I feel like I'm not in a place where that's possible for me. And it was a really hard decision. And like, cause my whole life was wrapped up in that. And so I remember I went to a women's conference, and it was just empowering. Like, women just go for it. And I'm like, I want to go for it in my life. And I don't think I'm in a position where I can. So we got into one last argument. It wasn't violent or anything, but it was just an argument. And I had left before, came back, left before. This time I said, no, like, this is it. I didn't know where I was going to live. I didn't know anything. I had saved up some money, right? Because I knew it was kind of happening, right? And I remember it was June 18th, 2012. And the day I walked over that threshold, y'all, my whole life turned upside down. I became homeless. I had nowhere to live. And at the time, I'm like, well, let KC stay with his dad until I get myself together. Because I was not about to have my baby rolling around trying to follow after me, because I didn't have a place to live. Wow. So I started living with different family members. And it was a really interesting time, right? And at the same time, Casey's father and I, it was just became very, very tense. And we ended up going to custody court. We ended up going to child support. Yes, he put me on child support, y'all. I ain't had no money coming in or whatever. I got put on child support.
Wow.
And so I didn't think, okay, let me finish the story. I didn't think that the judge I wasn't working,
Right.
After a year, it was December 31st. 2013. I'll never forget it. I was coming home from an eye doctor appointment. She was like, you need to get surgery on your eye or you're going to go blind. I have glaucoma. I was like, oh my God. So I'm reeling from that. Like, oh, I come home. I see this big, thick packet. I come to my sister's house. I see a big, thick packet. And it was like from Family Court. I'm like, this seems like it's a lot going on here. I was expecting just a little thin letter saying, Miss Broster, you do not have to pay child support. I was in for the shock of my life. That judge said, well, I forget the name of it, of what they argued against me. Oh, earning capacity. He had an attorney and they argued earning capacity against me. So ladies, here's a gem. Here's a bar, as they like to say. You need a lawyer to argue this, but if you're with someone, you're trying to take them child support and they're not working, you can file like you can argue earning capacity. Say, Your Honor, I know they're not working right now. However, if you look at their history, if you look at their pedigree, if you look at their education, if they were to go out and look for a job now, this is the least amount they'd be able to make. And the judge would be like, you know what, you're right. And then they will assess you off of this phantom figure. So the judge said, based upon earning capacity, if you were to go out and find a job, Ms. Broster, based upon your education, I went to Duke University, you guys, right? Based upon your health, all this stuff, you would make X amount of dollars. And based upon that, you're going to have to pay $400 a month. I was like, what?
Wow.
I just gave y'all a bar. Y'all got to get yourself one of them little free lawyers. Tell them to argue earning capacity, because earning capacity, they don't have to be making money right now. It's what you have the capacity to earn. So I remember I read that and I was like, oh my, I was still homeless. And you know, if you don't pay your child support, they lock you up, clink, clink. So I just remember going to church and I had the weight of the ophthalmologist saying, if you don't get surgery, you're going to lose your vision. And I was young, like the early 30s. Then I had this child support, and I'm like, I don't have a job. How am I going to pay this? They're going to lock me up. Like, y'all, don't get it twisted. They will lock you up. They will do a lot of things to you. And I'm like, God. And I remember going to church, and my pastor was talking about the children of Israel, how when it was time for, they were running from the Egyptians, and when they got to the Red Sea, they had to make a decision. Do we turn back? Do we just stand here or do we move forward? And they made the decision, we're going to move forward. We don't know what the future holds. We don't even know how this is going to happen, but we're going to move forward. We're going to get God's promises. And I heard that message and I just dropped to my knees. I was like, God, I don't know what my future holds, but I'm going to move forward and I'm going to trust you. And that was that. And I tell you, 9 days later, y'all, not only because see when you go to child support, right, and they tell you it's a figure you got to pay, if that person took you to court back in January, let's say the person took you to court back in January 2022,
trust me, I know about child support,
and y'all fight and you don't get a decision until December 2022, if they get a judgment against you, it's backdated. You got to start paying from January. So at the time I had like almost $4,000 or something. I'm like, but see, I said, God, I'm going to trust you and I'm going to move forward. In 9 days, my child support, all my arrears were paid. I got the surgery to save my vision. And then God was like, listen, it's time for you to have your own place to live. And I did not have all the money, so I thought. And see, this is when y'all follow me. I tell people, get up in the morning, do your gratitude, spend time with God, spend time with yourself, right? And God was just like, no, you have the money. You need to go track down some money. You made some investment a few years ago. Track it down. Right. I didn't even know I had this money, y'all. I look, I had invested maybe $500 or something back in 2006 or something. That joint was like $5,000 when I looked at it. I'm like,
crazy. Crazy. Oh, we got to get a clap up for that. We got to get a clap up for that. We got to get a clap up for that right there. Get a clap up for that.
Thank you. It was enough for me to my down payment to get into the apartment, because the apartment living was cheaper back then, and to just see God move in my life. So I say all that to say, like, and the other part is, before GoFundMe turned into like this bad word, I went on GoFundMe, listen to God, like, share your story, because you've been doing great work. People have been following you. Just share your story about how you moved and you've been helping girls, and all this time while I was going through and with my own child, I was empowering other people's children. God was like, go and share your story. I shared my story, and I raised $7,000 to really help me get back on my feet, to fully furnish my apartment, a couple months worth of rent. It was amazing, right? This is in 2014. It's documented. I still have the link in case anybody ever wants to see. You look at me now, but you don't know my story. So even in that space, y'all, I was still afraid to really step out and really own my greatness within my skill set, because it came to a point where I had to start making more money, right, to just continue to live. And I heard a quote, and the quote said, "The cave that you fear to enter, it holds the treasures that you seek." And it was I was afraid to really put myself out there as a coach who could help women. And we all have our reasons. We all have our self-doubts, different reasons. It shows up differently. And so I remember a really good friend of mine, I was like, yo, I gotta pay rent. I started contracting with the school. They didn't renew the contract. I'm like, how am I gonna make this money? And she was like, well, I've been trying to get you to coach me for years, but you don't believe in yourself.
Wow.
How many of us have friends that are there honest? And how many of us leave room in our relationships for a friend to be honest with you like that? And I still had the email. She said, I want to coach with you, but you do not believe in yourself. And then she started telling me about some other coaches she was working with. I said, well, if I were your coach, I would do boom, boom, boom. She was like, I've been trying to get you to be my coach, but you don't believe in yourself. And she was like, do you have your head together yet? That's how we talk to each other. I was like, yeah. She was like, well, why don't you write me up a proposal about how you can help me? I wrote up a proposal. I sent it to her, and she said yes.
Wow.
Pause right there. How many friends are willing to pay you top dollar for your services? She was my first. It was like $3,000 was the figure.
Wow.
She had no problem. She said, invoice me. And then I thought, wait a minute.
Wow.
Spending time in prayer. How many other people have her problem? How many other people do you know could use this? Because I basically created a program.
Right.
I said, I know y'all, within 30 days, I went from one person paying me 30 to about 12, 15 people. I mean, one person paying me 3,000 to about 12 or 15 people paying me 3,000. So I went from nothing to over $30,000 in 30 days.
Wow. Oh, praise. We got to give claps up for that, though. That's the story right there. Man, that's the story.
Yeah,
That's true, actual content that, of your life. It's not like this is real life. And a lot of women that's out there, and men, out there that's hearing this, that, you can get through it. As the
And the best thing is, everything that I have mentioned is fully documented on social media. So you can't say, oh, she's capping. No, because as I was going through it, I was documenting it. And let me back up. You have Gary Vee telling people, don't create, document. I was doing that back in 2011, 2012, because it just made sense to me. When I left my son's father, I had this burgundy BMW he bought me, right? And as I was packing up my car, something in my spirit was like, take a picture of this moment. It is very important. So I had the picture of me packing up the BMW. After 6 years, all I had was 6 or 7 bags of clothes. Wow. It was something wrong with that picture, right? And ever since, I was documenting everything. So no one can say she's lying. No one can say I don't believe her, because I had the sense enough to document before it was cool. Now it's called transparency. Now it's called I've been on that.
DTP, document the process. But she's
been doing that.
Been doing it. So that's a very good bar and a segue to our next question. So again, thank you for that, Queen. So guys, you out there listening, you can get through it. Document your process. Document your process. So we want another question. Who are your top 3 mentors out there, if you had to pick 3?
Okay, well, it's him 500, Marcus Barney.
Okay, bars.
The Wall Street Trapper.
Okay, Trap. Okay, Trap. There we go.
Trapper.
Big
And
fact.
is there another mentor? I hate doing things like top 3,
Yeah, I
top
mean, you had,
um,
you know, 2 is
um
good.
because I'm just thinking about people that I
Like
tap
that.
into.
You actually, because there's a lot of information out here. You can't take it all from everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I found a new one. Because I found a new passion.
Okay.
Taxes. Carlton Dennis.
Carlton.
That's
Okay.
somebody who I can't wait to be able to take
Work.
some of his courses and actually work with him. But to me, a mentor is someone who they put out great information that's actionable. You take action and you get results. So I've done that with him 500. I've done that with Wall Street Trapper, and with Carlton Dennis, I'm currently doing that in terms of he's a tax strategist and he's about building wealth through taxes. So those would be like my top 3.
That's what's up. Appreciate that, Queen. Appreciate that, Queen. So, what is you listening to right now in your music? What music are you listening to right now?
Okay, so I listen in the mornings. I listen to my gospels. I like listening to Pastor Dewey E. Smith, because he gives me that old school praise and worship feel. So I love it. So
Okay.
I like to listen to Pastor Dewey E. Smith in the mornings for praise and worship. When I'm in my creative mode, I like to listen to like 80s R&B. So I'm in my Anita Baker bag right now. And then also too, I like to mix it up. I like to listen to Glorilla, City Girl,
Okay.
Nicki Minaj.
Okay.
Because I need that. Sometimes people are like, Shalena, are you listening to that? Yeah, because you gotta pump yourself up. Like, you gotta think you're the baddest. When you go out in the world, like, you have to believe in yourself. So they help. They keep me hyped.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. So, what's the last book or podcast you listened to?
I listen to podcasts all the time. A book that I'm reading right now is, because I read books like kind of all the time, but You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. The Little Magic Book or the Little Black Book, but it's a book on investing.
Okay.
A podcast, Carlton Dennis. Like, I've been listening.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Because it's things out here that our listeners, they might take away, and you just drop a gem on a book or a podcast. You know what I mean? That might change their life. Books change people's lives.
They really do.
People put things in books so they can express what they've learned over the course of the years, and you don't have to be right there taking a course from a person. So we really appreciate that. So give them your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, all your socials. So go ahead and drop that for them real quick.
Yeah. So basically, everyone, you can find me at Shalena Diva, SHALENA DIVA. Whether it's ShalenaDiva.com. Everything is Shalena Diva. And like I said, I've been on this, y'all. This is nothing new to me. Back in 2011, 2012, I realized with all these different social media platforms popping up, you want to be the same person across all platforms. So all your digital real estate, you want to be the same person. So I went ahead and I claimed Shalena Diva for everything, like over 10 years ago, whenever it came out, because people who follow you on Facebook, they might be more into TikTok. So they want to know you. So I always tell people, I make this joke. You don't want to be, I don't want to be Shalena Diva on Facebook, but then I'm really heavy on Instagram, but my Instagram handle is Coogee Chakalia. They're not going to associate the two.
Big fact.
Claim your digital real estate, be the same person, the same handle. So I'm at Shalena Diva everywhere. That's me.
Ashley and Diva, guys. And remember that if you trying to jump into this game, make sure your name is the same everywhere so you can, be found. You know what I mean? The Queen just gave y'all another bar. So, where do you see your brand at in 5 years, Queen?
Where I see my brand in 5 years is definitely a nationally known brand and internationally known with the internet and its capability, but truly the brand that women, especially women, go to. I have a special place in my heart for women. Now that you know my backstory and how digging into my skill sets and digging into my social media skills, how that really helped me to turn my life around. I really want to help women to get those big dreams that they have in their hearts, in their minds. Like they want to have impact and they want to create great income where you can do both things. So I want to help women really develop those big dreams that they have, create budgets for it, create plans for it, really to realize them so they can have an impact, and also show them how to get the funding, how to get the funding for it. Because a lot of women, they don't act on things. They don't really go for it because they don't have the money. And right now the conversation is, women don't get money from venture capitalists. Well, there are more ways to fund your dream besides going to a venture capitalist, being on Shark Tank. Like you don't know nothing against that, but there are other ways out there that are more in your control that you can actually tap into, and you have more power than you know. So I just want to live in a world where a woman really going after her dream, where not having the money is not the excuse or the reason why she can't follow her dreams.
Let's go. So, ladies, if y'all out there, listen, tap into the queen. She got the plays for you. So we're going to get into some fire round questions. So there's just questions that we're going to add. And I just want to know what your thoughts is. So the first fire round question: Miami or LA? What is best for you? Miami, bet. All right. What you like better? The S500 Benz or the BMW 850?
The S500.
S500. Facts. Airbnb or an event space to get a bag?
Event. Wait. Let me channel my inner Carlton Dennis. I'm gonna say event space.
Okay. Bet. Married life or single life?
Married life.
Married life all day. Me too, queen. Me too, queen. What is one of the top or two of the top financial literacy communities that you invest yourself into?
Oh, that's easy. That's EYLU, Powered by Recession Proof, and We Got Options. Headed by
let's go.
Headed by Not Stone Fold.
EYL, Powered by Recession Proof. Google it if y'all know what we talking about. But and We Got Options by Not Stone Fold. Let's go. How long you been in Recession Proof? So guys, if you don't know, this queen is a actual mentee of Recession Proof. You know what I mean? So how long have you actually been in there, queen?
I'm gonna say it was October of 2021.
October 2021. So 3 years in, and she's
like two. Because 3 would be at the end of the year. So 2.
End of the year, okay, 2. Okay. What are the 3 top influencers right now in your life?
Yourself.
All praise. All praises.
Thomas Lee of Gourmet Bosses really changed my life, you guys. And he's a fellow mentee.
We got to put up for that. All praises.
Yes, because he's changed my children's life and really changed my mindset around really financial literacy. So like I said, I have been in the Recession Proof community since October of 2021. I had a baby in May of 2021, and I was like 42. I think I was 42. So I was considered geriatric when I had my baby, right? Wow. But my body went through so many changes, and like mentally I was foggy. And Tommy, now that you've gotten to know me, you know how sharp this is. Well, it wasn't. After I had my baby, it wasn't. So I knew that I needed whatever Him 500 was providing. I knew I needed that. But even when I got in, it is so vast and so much information. I was afraid because I'm like, wait, how can this be? I didn't understand credit. I didn't understand it. And I would try to tap in, but it was just, I had a lot going on. I was dealing with diabetes from the pregnancy. So I still, I still tapped in as much as I could, went to the convention. And that's where I met Tommy, Noel, and Q. And I heard that they were forming a chapter in Pennsylvania. And I'm like, hey, I want to be a part of it. And so I put my hat in the ring to become the secretary. Tommy and Noel, they followed. They became vice presidents. And so we've been rocking ever since like November. And then we went to the EYL event in Madison Square Garden with Don Peebles and
That was big. That was big.
it was big. We went there, and then at that point, Tommy was like, "Hey, Queen, I would really like, do you need help with your credit? I would really like to like guide you." And what I appreciated about that was I'd have keep a daily gratitude journal. I was praying for that. I was praying for like guidance and help, because what people don't understand is you can give people a ton of information, but some people need
that handheld.
Somebody to hold their hands and help them to understand, because like when you start telling people, oh, you can change your life, and you start talking about consumer law, stuff like that, if you're not used to that, you're going to think that's not true, because whatever they put on that credit report, whatever they say is true. And it isn't until you start to get immersed and you get a mentor like Tommy that's like, no, Queen, you have rights. And he started educating me, y'all, and I started feeling empowered. And we've been rocking since December. In like less than 60 days. I think it was like 50 days. Now, Tommy will tell you, my credit the number was in decent shape, but my credit profile was not. But I still had a decent number. So that's something for y'all to know. The number doesn't matter as much as the like profile. What's inside the profile. So within 60 days, Tommy took me from the high 600s to like a 794. We're building my credit profile out. I went from like four accounts, because I was thinking you don't want to have a bunch of credit accounts. I'm thinking I'm doing something with like 3 or 4. It's like, no, that's not how they judge you. They want you to have a good mix. They want you to have about 20. At
least 20, you know what I mean?
At least. So I'm like, I'm doing something before. So what ended up happening is Tommy just started working with me and helping me. And like I said, in 50 days, I went from like a high 6 to a 794. And I'm still building out my credit profile. So to me, I think, Tommy, there is no one else to say, no other influencer that
praise. We got to get the praises up to the Most High for that. I ain't gonna take that. Praise up to the Most High. Let's get it up to the Most High. Queen, but yeah, if y'all out there listening, it's not about the score. Just get the score out your head. It's about the
profile. It's about what's going on. The score gets you in the door. The profile will get you approved or a denial.
Wait. The score gets you in the door, but the profile gets you what?
Approved or a denial. I'm trying to figure out how to say it.
A score gets you in the door, but a profile would change your lifestyle.
We might gotta get you on the hook too. I heard you got some bars. I heard you can sing too.
That's what I heard you can sing. Yeah. Definitely.
I do a little something for the kids when I can.
Okay, hard. Get you in that studio. You know we got a label situation. We about to go. I mean, we're gonna leave that alone. But go ahead,
okay,
Ken. Go ahead. We're gonna leave that alone. We ain't gonna get there yet. Are you going to the Madison Square Garden convention?
So, of course I'm going. I'm the national secretary of EYLU Powered by Recession Proof Chapter. So I will be in the building.
Wait, say that one more time again, Queen. Who are you? Like, you didn't mention that in your previous, but you got another accolade.
Because you didn't, it was, we were talking. Yeah. Right. So, within me being a mentee of Recession Proof, and then it merged into EYLU University Powered by Recession Proof, I became the national secretary over the 26 chapters. So there are chapters within EYLU Powered by Recession Proof. So we have chapters from Connecticut to Northern California. So it expands the country literally. So I manage 26 other secretaries of all the chapters to make sure they get all the information. So I write a lot of the communications that everyone receives. Like, it comes from me. I write it. It gets approved, and then I give it to my fellow secretaries, and then they disseminate it out into their chapter. So you probably, if you're in the app lately, the past month or so, you've probably written something that came directly from my head and it got approved. And so I love that. And so my whole goal was to come into that position and to help streamline a lot of the tasks that we have and a lot of the way that we communicate. And I wanted to put my writing and communication skills to use. So that's what I'm doing.
All praise. That's what we got. You get all that. You came a long way. You holding it down. You definitely holding it.
Thank
So
you.
if y'all listening out here, fellow entrepreneurs, small mom and pop store, if you are looking for a community, like the Queen said, we're from West Coast to the East Coast, anywhere across that footprint of the United States. When we're about to be international, you can be a part of this chapter. So, and shout out to the Queen for pushing forward, man. You get busy, Queen. Let's go. Go ahead, King.
All right. So, how I think we already discussed this, but officially, how has recession-proof impacted your life?
Well, yeah, as I was saying, it's helped me in a few ways. One was it helped me to tap into a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, because a lot of times people, you have these ideas of different things you want to do, but you don't have the access to the information. Because they say information changes situations. That's true. And a lot of times you don't have that community. You're just around your family. Your family is not into what you're into. So you do need to be around a community. So it felt good to be around a community. And I really love the emphasis on like financial literacy and with credit being the basis of it. Because credit was always something that was just like,
taboo, right?
What's wrong with me? Why can't I figure it out? Like whatever. So getting that straight. So now having, like, as I like to say, A1 credit. I've always used to write, I wanted to have A1 credit. I do have that, and I'm working towards having an A1 profile as well. And now I'm passing that along to my children. So I have my children set up with custodial accounts so they can own and trade stocks. And even my baby isn't even 2 years old, and he's had a custodial account. They have bank accounts. My son, I made him an authorized user on my card so that he can start his credit. So just changing my mindset around financial literacy has helped. And then I met you guys. So you all don't realize is outside of me being a national secretary, I'm also the secretary of Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania chapter. So I'm on the executive board along with Noel and along with Tommy, and we have the other members. So that this was a great addition to my life as well, like being in a leadership role, because leadership that's very valuable, and it's something that I was praying for. And so now, I'm experiencing that. Now, in terms of becoming the national secretary, I'm gonna take you back real quick. At the beginning of this year, I read a book by a woman named Rachel Rogers. It's We Should All Be Millionaires. And her premise in the book is there's no reason why you shouldn't be a millionaire. But in order to become that, she said it's three things you need to master. And there's a book for women predominantly, but men can read it too. But she says in order to become a millionaire and to scale your business, you need to know how to lead, manage, and delegate. Lead, manage, and delegate. And when I read that, I was honest with myself. I was like, Lord, listen, you got to help me, because I know I need help in all three of those areas. You think it's only going to be done correctly if you do it. If you're just being a one woman, one man band, it's hard. Well, how can you lead? You can always lead yourself, but how can you lead when you're just a one person team? How can you truly manage when it's just yourself? And how can you delegate if it's just yourself? Because if you master those three things, you're on your way to scaling. And I was like, God, I need help in those areas. And then the opportunity came up for me to apply to become the national secretary. I didn't know all of what I was getting into, y'all. I just knew it seemed right. And I felt like I fit the qualifications, and I went for it and I got it. And since I've been in this role, the woman talked about leadership. I lead 26 other people. Manage. I manage 20. That's like managing
20 right? Blessings on top of blessings, man.
And the last thing is I'm learning how to delegate, because with delegate, you don't have to be the one to do everything, but also too, delegation is actually freedom because you're so confident in your systems. Tommy and I talk about this all the time. You should be so confident in your systems and your standard operating procedures, and that you're finding the right people that boom, you create those standard operating procedures, you give it to them. They should know what to do, and you should have written them so well that when they just check off the things on the list, they will complete the task, and you can be out on the beach in Miami, or you can be, you don't have to work in your business, but on your business. So that's how recruitment really helps.
That's what's up, Queen. Power session in your business, not on your business. So we're about to wrap it up here. So we got about 2 more questions. Who would you like to work with moving forward in the future? Your brand, not your internal, what you got going on, but your brand. Who would Shalena Diva like to work with?
That's a tough. Who would I like to work with? I would like to work with Forbes.
Okay, think big. There we go.
Why not?
Here you go. That's what's up, Queen. Well, guys, I want to thank you for tapping into another episode of For Our Culture, where we're bringing you elite, top tier entrepreneurs, and we're trying to sever those generational curses that we're cursed with. You don't know what you don't know. So thank you again. You could have been anywhere in the world. Again, click the link in the bio. But you're here with us. You know what I mean? This is Tommy. B&B Funding on the gram. We got Noel Niches. Mason Ease on the Instagram. And Shalena Diva, the purpose-driven Dina, as Shalena Diva on all social medias. Again, guys, thank you. Period. Happening. We pray that you have perpetual wealth, great health, and peace abundantly to you and your family. Guys, you want to say anything before we sign off?
Yep. The 4 Hour Culture podcast is the best financial literacy podcast, period.
Oh, let's go.
Literacy. Credit. I ain't spending no debit. Wow, that's stupid. Rather get paid if I use it. Financial literacy, my only hope. Ain't living rich and dying broke. So, reward points turn that into cash back. If you don't follow, let me run it back. What we know about credit, man, it's all cap. So, I'ma give it to you with raw facts. Your credit score, have you paying a little or hella more? So